All right, guys, so as I make this video, the market is absolutely shitting itself, and there was a beautiful place to enter this downside today, and I want to go ahead and break this down for you guys. This is something that you guys know I talk about all the time. It's the break and retest, and today, after a morning of chop, after a morning of sideways consolidation, and a morning of sideways market action, we finally saw a break of the channel, a break and retest of the channel, that was the entry point to take advantage of the downside that we're currently getting on the market. I want to go ahead and break this down, and I want to show you the trade that I took myself, which was a smaller trade. Unfortunately, I didn't have the full buying power that I wanted to have today due to some early morning trades, but I took it with what I had. And I want to show you how I was able to trade this with 5 contracts, 5 options contracts, using the same scaling out system that I always do, and sort of showcase how what I do every day, even though I do it at a large scale, is 100% possible with small accounts as well. You guys can see behind me, we got our whiteboard. We got some people out here trading, making money, buying Lamborghinis. You got me over here trading, making money, and buying whiteboards. This was a really fun addition in the live streams. This is going to be primarily used for our mentorship program. In that mentorship program, we're going to be popping on this whiteboard during the live sessions, really breaking things down back to the old school, which I think is a great way to learn. And a lot of you guys that watch the live streams today, and a lot of you guys that were in the WAP trading live with me today, really enjoyed that. So appreciate you guys giving me some feedback on that. Actually gave me some recommendations of buying a smart board, which is like a TV that you can write on. So that may be coming next. As you guys know, that's all a tax write-off. So that is money well spent. But today, let's go ahead and break down this trade. We're still puking as we speak, and there was a break and retest all day. Just a beautiful trade to catch all this downside today, and I want to go ahead and break it down. So guys, heading into this morning, we had a game plan to be careful of the overnight lows and the 5,400 level on the S&P 500. If you came to the pre-market live stream, if you spend the 8 a.m. time frame with me from 8 a.m. to around 8:45, 9 a.m., if you wake up in the morning and you prepare yourself correctly, we had these levels pointed out perfectly. So we had a very clear overnight low here on the S&P 500, and we had a very clear supply zone above between the 5,400 and 5,420. Now, we talked about in the morning session that we need to be careful of trading inside the range. So anything between the overnight low, which was right here, anything between the overnight low and that pre-market high, right up here, pre-market high, we needed to be careful of getting too chopped up within that range. So we had that very clear range heading into the day. We were cautious of the overnight low around 53.45, and we were cautious of the 5,400 supply above. Now, what we can see here is we had a pretty choppy morning. We moved down into that overnight low. We bounced off of it. There was some risk to short into that, which ended up being correct. We had some upside into that 5,400 high. We saw those rejections, right? And we came back down to that overnight low, right? So we pretty much went from overnight low to overnight high, the channel low to channel high on the intraday, which never really presented any A-plus trading opportunities. So on some days, we don't get that opportunity, right? We go from the lows to the highs, we go from channel lows to channel highs, we stay within it all day, and you never quite get a great opportunity, which is very, very characteristic of the last 2 trading days. Both Monday and Tuesday of this week, we saw these channels get created, we never got outside of them, and no big moves ever were created on the market, right? We never quite got continuation. We never got the strong moves we were looking for. Today, we were blessed. We were blessed with a channel break, something that we all love to look for and we have to wait for. Now, the question is, how do we take a trade once the channel breaks? And this, my friends, is again why we trade the break and retest strategy. So if we have our very clear lows mapped out and we have our very clear highs mapped out, right, we are looking for either a break and retest above, right, or a break and retest below to get that break and retest set up. So I want to go ahead and bring out the whiteboard for this example because why not? We bought the whiteboard, let's use it, right? So the break and retest. Right? What are we looking for on the break and retest? What is the exact thing that we're looking for something to do, for the charts to do, right? So in our example we just talked about, We had that overnight low. We had that overnight low that held pre-market, right? So we had that overnight low. We saw it hold. We saw the market bounce off that level. So now we want to make sure that we are watching that level throughout the entire day. What happens at that level in the future? This is going to be a key inflection point for us throughout the trading day. What is the key inflection point? It's that overnight low. And on the ES, that was 53.45. So 53.45 was our overnight low on the S&P 500 futures. We saw the market drop. We saw it hold. That's our channel low. Now, we also had our 5,400. This was our 5,400 supply. This was something we had mapped out in the pre-market if you guys came to that pre-market live stream. So we had our channel, right? This is our channel. This is our most important channel of the day. If we trade up into that channel, we're cautious of rejections. If we trade down, we're cautious of holds, right? And we're watching how the market trades within that channel throughout the day. If we stay in this channel, nothing is really quite an A-plus opportunity in terms of continuation. We want things to break out of these ranges and see continuation. But the problem that most people have is they are looking for breakouts and they're looking to just trade a little break above or a little break below, right? And then they get trapped when it comes right back under, right? This is where a lot of traders lose a lot of money. This is something you would call a liquidity grab, right? Because they're never quite getting confirmation that we're breaking and we're holding. That's the break and the retest. They're just trading it on the break and on the break. And when it comes back down and fails to hold above that channel high or channel low, they lose money. This is very, very common and something you cannot get stuck in. Now, where the break and retest comes in and what you need to be looking for is that break and the retest, right? So today we came back lower, right? Came back to the downside. We broke below it and we started to see a retest and rejection, right? We started to see the market fail right here to get back above the channel low, the pre-market low, the overnight low at 53.45. So when we see that starting to form, when we start to get confirmation, whether that's a 5-minute candle, whether that's a few 2-minute candles, right? We at least need to visibly see failures to get back above that break. Once we start to see the failures underneath that level, we set up our risk. That's how we set up our risk, right? Right here. We're setting up our risk. Our risk is a break back above that previous overnight low, that previous channel low. That is now our risk, which is a very good risk reward. In this case, we had really not much support below until 52.50 on the S&P 500, which was a monster move lower today. And that was all, I mean, that's 100 points lower. Let's just call it here at 52.50. 52.50. So in this case, we have a risk reward of, I don't even know what it was, maybe 5 to 1, 10 to 1. It was huge, right? But what did you have to wait for confirmation today? You had to wait for the break of the channel, wait for the retest to confirm that a rejection was coming in. If it was to the upside, that is the same thing, but with a break and hold above the high for an upside continuation trade. But that simply never happened today. Don't get stuck in the fake outs. Don't be liquidity. Wait for break and retest holds below or holds above, and always have your channels mapped out every day so that you know where the inflection points are and you know where these trades can start to happen. So guys, that example that we just talked about on the whiteboard behind me, you can see it perfectly visible here on the intraday charts, and it really is applicable to what you're watching on the charts every single day. The difference is, are you going to wait for it? Are you going to strike when you see it? Are you going to build the confidence around this strategy? Or are you just going to sort of watch this video, say Desi's an idiot, you know, oh, maybe Desi's onto something, but I'm not going to put in the work. And, you know, that's that's the difference, my friends. All right. At the end of the day, I can continue to make these videos, continue to tell you what I do every day, show you proof that I'm up over $1 million in my trading career. But you have to take the initiative to say, hey, I'm going to try to learn this and I'm going to take this seriously. That's the difference. At the end of the day, I cannot do that, right? I can't be here and tell you how to be serious and how to take it seriously and really learn. I can tell you what to look for. I can try to expedite your learning curve, but you have to take this seriously. And so what you can see, guys, is this exact thing that we talk about every day on this channel, every single day, happened perfectly today. So you see the overnight low on the ES. That was our 53.45 right here, and that intraday low right here. When we broke below that today, which did happen on a catalyst, which even makes this even more interesting because you know there's going to be volume and volatility. After you break that low, you can see we failed to get back above it. So if I zoom in here, right here, you can see that pre-market low and overnight low. We got below it. We failed to get back above. We saw the same thing we just drew out on the chart behind us right here. Look at that. You have a previous low that turns into a rejection point, and you take your shot and you take your risk right there. I took this with 5 contracts. I can put it up on the screen for you guys to see. You will see my entries and my exits. You can see how I scaled out of this position over time and ultimately getting about 30 to 35% net on the entire position, selling my runners up around 60 to 70%. And by the way, this ran a whole hell of a lot more. But today's lesson at the end of the day is not about how much money I made on this trade. I've shown you that plenty of times. It's about the system and how trusting it can get you somewhere in your trading. So we have that low, we see the break and retest rejection, we take our entry point, we calculate our risk, and we grind this thing lower and we scale out as we get the W. Now, it's not just on the S&P 500 that this happened. If I go to the NASDAQ futures, you are going to see the exact same thing. So coming into today, on the NASDAQ futures, we had an 18,500 overnight low. We had an 18,500 low of day. That was our channel low that we created in our pre-market game plan. And you can see right here that we broke, we rejected it, right? We broke and retested that 18,500. And that created the downside into our target of 18,300, which ultimately went even lower. This is the same thing on the QQQ. If I go to the QQQ, you guys can see we had that overnight low right here at $447 per share. So you can see right here, $447 per share on the QQQ. Let me go ahead and get this pulled up. Right there, break and retest rejection, downside came in. Beautiful. Broke our channel, broke our previous low. We take that trade all day. On the SPY ETF, you guys can see right here, this is the previous low of day at 529.65. We can see a perfect failure right below that low. And if you take that trade and you do it consecutively, and that's the only thing you ever trade, you can build a winning, profitable strategy, right? If you only take this trade and you stop taking BS trades because of some random shit that you see on the market, you can actually become profitable. But you have to stick to one thing. I really believe that, because you start to sway results when you start adding in 50% losses on this BS trade, 100% loss on this random thing I took. If you only take this, you can build it to be profitable. You can actually calculate risk and understand what's going right and what's going wrong. If you start throwing in some random wild card trades into your strategy, into your portfolio, then yeah, you're probably not going to be profitable. But this happens all of the time, and this is going to be something that I continue to hawk on in this channel, because I truly believe that any of you out there can do this. You can look for this. The only difference is how much noise do you let come into your trading, and how focused are you on only trading break and retest setups. Congratulations to you guys that took this trade. It's an awesome trade. We took it in the group. I'll go ahead and pull up the Discord for you guys to see. So right here in our Discord, the Desi Scalp section, you can see exactly where I started to call this out. You can see that we broke that 53.50 low. We had a break and retest rejection. I went ahead and caught that with 5 contracts, very small size, but I wanted to showcase how it can be done with smaller size. you have that bear flag that we were looking at, right? And boom, just rode that thing. Contracts up to 60%, 100%. It started all right here, which again is right there. You can do it too. Study, watch this video. I hope it helped you guys. If it did, press that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to trade live with me on a daily basis, you guys can check out the link down below that says trade live with me. And of course, if you want to join the mentorship program, go ahead and put your name on the wait list. This is a very, very small amount of people that we're accepting. We're starting with 50 people. We're likely going to max it out at 300. And when I say that, I'm not BSing you. You guys know the way I do things. I do not BS. And that is the number that we're going to allow in this group. There's going to be a formal application and an interview to get in. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and check it out down below. I've put a lot of work into this. I'm buying equipment. I'm making this a really good interactive program for you guys to take advantage of. So once again, if you're interested, check it out down below. Thank you guys for all the support. I hope you enjoyed today's quick video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.